Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? Sit down, drop everything, because what Austin Reaves, the humble kid from Newark, Arkansas, the undrafted free agent who became one of the most beloved Lakers of the modern era, just did on the Pat McAfee show is going to be the biggest NBA story of the entire offseason. And I mean it. Austin Reaves walked into that studio in Indianapolis this morning wearing a plain black t-shirt, sat down across from Pat, and dropped the bomb. He demanded a trade, publicly, on live television from the Los Angeles Lakers, and he named Rob Pelinka by name multiple times. He called him out for the failed contract negotiations. He called him out for the failed roster construction. He called him out for the way the organization has treated him for 6 years. And he did it with a calm, cold, controlled fury that told me this was not an emotional outburst. This was a calculated career move. Let me walk you through every single word, because this changes everything for the Lakers going into training camp. Everything. Real quick, that like button pushes this video to every Lakers fan across America. 1 second. Massive impact. Smash it now. Every like matters. Context. Austin Reaves is heading into the final year of his 4-year, $53.8 million contract that he signed in 2023. He averaged 20.2 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 5.8 assists last season. He carried the Lakers' offense for stretches when LeBron was aging out and Luka was injured, and when LeBron officially left the Lakers this offseason to sign that stunning 1-year deal with the Cavaliers. Everyone in NBA circles agreed that Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic were now the 2 pillars of the franchise. 2 pillars. Reaves' agent Aaron Riley has been publicly pushing all summer for a max extension. 4 years, around $200 million. That's the number. And what has Rob Pelinka offered? According to multiple ESPN and Athletic reports, 4 years, $140 million? That's $60 million less than what Reaves' camp thinks he's worth. And the negotiations have been public and nasty all August. Every 3 days, another leaked story about the Lakers lowballing him. Every 3 days, Riley telling reporters we're disappointed by the front office's approach. And this morning, Austin Reaves finally decided to speak for himself. Pat McAfee opened the segment with his usual energy. Austin Reaves, everybody! And Reaves smiled, but it wasn't the polite Arkansas smile we're used to. It was tight, controlled. He said, Pat, before we get into anything, I need to tell you and the audience something. I made a very difficult decision last night, and I want the world to hear it from me first, not from a Shams tweet at 3 in the morning. Borrow. The entire panel went dead silent. AJ Hawk froze. Tone leaned forward. And Reaves, with that same cold energy Aaron Rodgers had a few days ago, said the sentence that broke Los Angeles. I've officially requested a trade from the Los Angeles Lakers. My agent has been in communication with Rob Pelinka since Sunday, and I want the fans to know this is not a leverage play. This is not a negotiating tactic. I am done. I am done with this organization's disrespect, and I want out. Y'all, my jaw dropped. Because Austin Reaves is the one Laker that everybody thought was untouchable emotionally. This is the kid who has been a legit fan favorite for 6 years. This is the guy who takes photos with every fan after every game. This is the guy who calls Los Angeles home. And in one sentence, he just publicly requested to leave. Every Lakers fan just felt their heart drop into their stomach. Pat, doing his job, pushed. He said, Austin, take us through this. What happened between you and the Lakers? And Reaves took a breath. And then he unloaded, with receipts. Pat, let me lay this out for you and the audience with the facts. Because the reporting on this has been all over the map, here are the facts. In August of last year, my agent Aaron Riley began preliminary conversations with Rob Pelinka about a contract extension for me. I had just averaged over 20 to 6 to 5 for the Lakers. I had just carried this team offensively without Luka for 2/3 of the playoffs. I had just committed publicly to Los Angeles as my long-term home, so the extension conversations were expected to be a formality. The number my camp asked for was 4 years and $200 million, which is below market value for a player of my production and my role. Sha'Carri Richardson makes more per year than that as a track runner. Trae Young is asking for way more than that in Atlanta. My ask was not crazy, it was actually below market. BRO, he just compared his salary ask to Sha'Carri Richardson's endorsement money. That's devastating framing, because every viewer just went, wait, Austin Reaves' ask, is that reasonable? And the Lakers said no? That's a PR nightmare for Rob Pelinka, and Reaves wasn't done. He kept going. Rob Pelinka's response through July was silence. Complete silence. When Aaron would email him, no response for days. When Aaron would call, no call back. This is the general manager of my basketball organization treating my representative like a stranger. That is not how you treat your third highest paid player. That is how you treat someone you are trying to move on from. And that's when I started asking questions internally. That's when I started thinking, do these people actually value me? Or am I just a cost line on a spreadsheet that they want to reduce? Because those are two very different things. And based on the way Rob treated us all July, I got my answer. They don't value me. They want a discount, and I am done being anybody's discount rack. Whoa, he just called Rob Pelinka out for ghosting his agent all summer. That is devastating publicly, because every player in the NBA knows how you treat your important guys. You take their agent's call within an hour, you set up meetings quickly, you keep the relationship warm. And what Reaves just described is Pelinka essentially treating him like a role player who doesn't matter. That is the professional insult of insults. And Reaves just aired it out on national television. Pat pushed further. He said, "Austin, when you finally got to the actual number, what was the offer?" And Reaves' answer here was the part that made this go supernova. 4 years, $140 million. That was Rob Pelinka's offer. And when Aaron said that's $60 million below market and $60 million below what we asked for, Rob's response was, and I'm quoting directly from what my agent told me. Rob said, "Austin should feel grateful we're offering him anything at all." Grateful, that was the word he used. Grateful. I should feel grateful that the Lakers are offering me $140 million for 4 years of my prime. Pat, I don't know if you understand what happens to me when I hear that word applied to me. I have earned every dollar of my career, from an undrafted free agent minimum contract to the number I am now. Nobody handed me anything. Nobody drafted me high. Nobody blessed me with hype. I earned this position. And to have Rob Pelinka tell my representative that I should feel grateful is the most disrespectful sentence anybody has ever said about my career. And that was the moment I decided, I'm out. Man, that word, grateful. That's going to be the quote that follows Rob Pelinka for the rest of his career. Every single national analyst is going to spend Monday morning replaying grateful over and over. Skip Bayless will make it the topic of Undisputed. Stephen A. will make it the topic of First Take. Because using the word grateful to a self-made undrafted player like Austin Reaves is the professional equivalent of calling him a servant. And every athlete in America just heard that quote and thought, yeah, I would ask out too. But Reaves wasn't finished, not close, because then Pat asked him the question everybody was waiting for. Austin, where do you want to go? And Reaves' answer here was the calculated career move that made this whole press conference go insane. Pat, I'm going to be very transparent about this. I have 4 preferred destinations. All 4 have already been communicated to my representation, and my representation has already communicated them privately to Rob. But since we're doing this publicly now, the 4 teams I want to be traded to are the Oklahoma City Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets, and the Orlando Magic. And I picked those 4 for very specific reasons. Oklahoma City is the defending champion. I want to win. San Antonio has Victor Wembanyama and a young core. I want to be a leader on a rising team. Houston has depth, coaching, and offensive fit, and Orlando is home for me. My wife's family is there. My heart is there. Any of those 4 teams I would happily be a Laker exile for. Otherwise, I'll play out the year and become an unrestricted free agent in July 2027. Rob knows this, and I hope Laker Nation understands. This is a business decision. It is not personal, but it is necessary. Y'all. 4 destinations, named publicly. Austin Reaves just handed Rob Pelinka a menu on live television, and by publicly listing his 4 preferred destinations, he just shrunk the market for any Lakers trade return. Because now the Thunder and Spurs and Rockets and Magic know they don't have to compete with 26 other teams. Reaves has already told them, I want to be there. That is brutal leverage against Pelinka. That is a masterclass in how to force your way out of a franchise. And Reaves did it with the calm, methodical energy of a man who has been planning this exact moment for weeks. The interview took a brief pause, and when it came back, Pat asked him about the fan base. About Laker Nation, about the fans who have loved him since he was undrafted, and this is where Reaves showed the human side. Pat, Laker Nation is the reason this decision is so painful. I love those fans. I love that city. I love crypto. Come arena on a good night with 19,000 people chanting my name. Do you know how many little kids I met at those Lakers community events over 6 years wearing number 15 jerseys? Hundreds, thousands. I know their faces. I know their names. And when I say I'm leaving this organization, I want those fans to know I am not leaving you. I am leaving a front office that has decided I don't matter to their financial plans. Rob Pelinka made this decision, not me. I would have signed for less. I would have played out my career in Los Angeles. I bought a house here. My wife loves it here. My whole life is in LA. But when the general manager of your organization tells your agent you should be grateful, you have to know your worth. And my worth is not 140 million. My worth is what the market says it is when I hit free agency in 2027. And if the Lakers won't pay it, someone else will. Then Pat asked one final question. Austin, one last thing, Luka Doncic. What have you talked about with him about this? And Reaves' answer here was the other bombshell. Luka knows everything. Luka has known everything since July. And Luka has expressed to me privately, and I don't want to speak for him publicly, but Luka has expressed frustration with the same front office in the same way. I'm not going to put words in Luka's mouth. But I'll say this, if the Lakers don't fix what's broken in that front office, I'm not going to be the last star to demand a way out of Los Angeles. And Rob Pelinka needs to hear that loud and clear, because whatever is happening in his negotiation style, it is losing him the entire core of this franchise. And that's on him, not us. Bro, he just insinuated that Luka Doncic is also frustrated with Rob Pelinka. Just insinuated, didn't confirm, didn't deny. Just left the seed planted for every NBA reporter to chase for the next week. That is brilliant public strategy, because Reaves just made himself the messenger for a bigger locker room problem, which puts even more pressure on Pelinka to fix things or lose Luka too. Then Pat gave him one final chance to say anything, and Reaves looked directly into the camera and delivered his closing statement. Rob Pelinka, I want you to hear this from me one time. You have 72 hours to trade me to one of the 4 teams I listed. If not, I will show up to Lakers training camp on time. I will play my role professionally, and I will run out the clock on my contract until I become a free agent next July. Either way, my Lakers career is over. This is a farewell, not a negotiation. To Laker Nation, thank you for 6 years. To Rob Pelinka, you had a chance to keep me. You blew it. And now you're going to explain to your ownership and to Jeannie Buss why the fan favorite left because you couldn't pick up a phone. That's on you, nobody else. Then he walked off. Didn't hug Pat, didn't shake AJ Hawk's hand, just walked straight out of the studio. And Pat sat there in stunned silence for a full 10 seconds before saying, I have never seen anybody do that on this show.